If you lost your lighter today, how long would it take you to make fire from scratch? For most people, that thought alone is enough to cause panic. Fire is survival. It's warmth, protection, food, and light. But for hundreds of thousands of years, humans survived without a single match or lighter in sight. Long before the Iron Age or even agriculture, Neanderthals mastered a fire-starting technique so reliable and efficient that it still works better than most modern survival tools when used correctly. What's fascinating is that this wasn't a crude spark in the dark. It was a refined, practiced art that blended geology, chemistry, and skill. And for anyone serious about preparedness, this ancient technique isn't just a relic of history, it's a vital survival method worth relearning. Neanderthals mastered the spark long before modern humans understood fire. Recent archaeological evidence from sites across Europe, especially in France and the Netherlands, has revealed something extraordinary. Neanderthals weren't simply scavenging fire from natural sources like lightning strikes. They were making it themselves using pyrite, better known as fool's gold, and sharp-edged flint stones. When these two minerals struck together, the iron sulfide in pyrite released a hot spark capable of igniting dry tinder. This discovery changed what we thought we knew about early humans. Pyrite and flint predate the steel and flint method by tens of thousands of years. Neanderthals were using this combination as early as 50,000 years ago, long before our own species developed metal tools. That means they not only knew how to make fire, but understood how to prepare and preserve the materials needed for it, suggesting deep intelligence and planning. For the survivalist today, that's a lesson in simplicity. The best methods don't always require complex gear. Sometimes the oldest technology is still the most dependable. The secret lies in how pyrite and flint were used together. The method is deceptively simple, but requires, well, quite a bit of precision. Flint, which is actually a form of quartz, has an extremely sharp edge when it's broken. When that edge strikes pyrite, small fragments of pyrite are shaved off. The friction and exposure to oxygen cause those fragments to oxidize instantly, producing sparks. Unlike modern ferro rods, the sparks from pyrite are small and cool quickly, so really, tinder preparation is everything. Archaeologists studying Neanderthal fire sites found that they often carried specialized pouches or stone containers filled with fine, fibrous tinder. Materials like dried moss, fungus, especially amadou from the horsehoof fungus, Fomes fomentarius, or finely shredded grass were kept bone-dry and ready for use. When the pyrite spark hit this tinder, it smouldered slowly. By blowing gently and feeding it with dry plant fibres or bark, they could coax it into a flame. Anyone practicing primitive firemaking can replicate this today. All you need is a piece of flint and a chunk of pyrite, both available from geological suppliers or natural deposits. The trick is in the angle, striking with the flint at about 45 degrees across the pyrite surface, catching the spark on your tinder. It takes patience, but once you get the rhythm, it becomes remarkably consistent. The materials mattered just as much as the method. Neanderthals didn't pick any random rock. They understood their tools. Pyrite, which is rich in iron sulfide, was prized for its ability to spark hot and fast. Flint was ideal because its smooth, hard edge could sustain repeated strikes without dulling. Even more impressive, excavations have shown that Neanderthals intentionally carried these stones from distant areas, suggesting they understood where to find the best quality materials. In survival terms, this tells us something crucial. Knowing your environment and sourcing the right materials is half the battle. A modern equivalent might be, understanding how to find natural tinders like birch bark or cattail fluff, or where to locate hard stones for striking in the wild. Pyrite isn't common everywhere, but other sulfide minerals like marcasite work in similar ways. For a modern prepper or outdoorsman, you can adapt the method with steel and flint instead of pyrite, keeping the same principle intact. The goal is the same, using friction and oxygen to create ignition, even in damp or cold conditions where matches might fail. The true value of this technique lies in its independence from modern tools. When we talk about survival, redundancy is everything. Matches get wet, lighters run out of fuel, and ferro rods wear down. But pyrite and flint? Well, they're virtually indestructible and require nothing but a steady hand and a bit of patience. This is what made the method so revolutionary in prehistoric times, and honestly, why it still holds value today. A practical example: if you're in an off-grid setting or find yourself without modern fire-making tools, collect a small pouch of fine tinder, dry moss, shredded bark, or even char cloth if you have it. Hold your flint at an angle and strike down sharply across the pyrite's face. Once you see a tiny ember catch, move it gently into your tinder bundle, cup your hands around it and blow softly until you see a steady orange glow. Then feed it with progressively thicker fibres until it becomes a flame. It's a process that forces you to slow down and connect with your environment, something Neanderthals did instinctively. And really, it's far more reliable in the long term than depending on consumable tools. Archaeology, really proves that Neanderthal fire skills weren't just accidental. For years, scientists actually debated whether early humans could make fire on demand, or if they just collected it from natural sources. But, microscopic wear patterns on pyrite nodules and flint blades found in Neanderthal sites show repeated, intentional use. That means they weren't just striking randomly. They had real technique. They could, in fact, sustain flame long enough to cook hardened wooden tools and survive those brutal Ice Age winters. This understanding honestly reshapes how we see early humans. It wasn't brute strength that kept them alive, it was knowledge. Their firecraft was an act of precision and foresight, the same qualities that define a modern survivalist. This ancient method still holds power for today's survivalist. In a world where technology can fail in an instant, going back to the roots of firecraft is more than a hobby. It's a safeguard. Practicing the pyrite and flint method is about mastering control over one of humanity's oldest skills. It teaches patience, resourcefulness, and respect for the process of survival. It's not about nostalgia. It's about rediscovering a method so effective that it sustained an entire species through cold, famine, and extinction-level challenges. If you're building your own survival kit, include a small piece of flint and pyrite. Keep them dry, Learn the striking angle and practice catching a spark on different tinders. Over time, you'll gain not just a skill, but a direct link to the earliest chapter of human survival. So, next time you spark a lighter, remember that you're using a method perfected by beings who didn't have modern tools, yet mastered fire better than most of us today. Their knowledge still burns bright, if you're willing to relearn it. If you found this exploration valuable, make sure to subscribe to Echoes of Valor and share this video with other history enthusiasts and survivalists. Because the more we uncover from the past, the better prepared we become for whatever challenges the future holds.